hour.
Let us pray. Guide we, beseech thee, Almighty God, and this honorable house, that we may gladly deliberate for the good of this country and for the glory of thy holy name. Honorable members, please join with me as we say together the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Pray be seated. This honorable house is now in session.
oath of allegiance of a new member. Confirmation of minutes.
Honorable Member.
I confirm that the minutes of the National Youth Parliament on August the 27th be taken as read.
Honorable Members, the question proposed is that the minutes of the meeting of the National Youth Parliament held at Mount Welldale on the 27th of August 2025 be taken as read. Honorable Members, the question is that the minutes of the meeting of the National Youth Parliament held at Mount Welldale on the 27th of August 2025 be taken as read. As many are of the opinion, say aye.
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 Those of the contrary opinion, nay.
Messages from the Governor General. Announcements by Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Members, let me now remind you of the rules governing the sitting of this House. Members are not to read their speech at any point, as well as please be guided by the standing orders that are outlined in the Constitution. Additionally, to members or the audience sitting in the gallery as strangers, please ensure that your devices are on silent or they are turned off. Additionally, I wish to send regrets for the Honorable Member for St. George Southeast, who would not be in the sitting today.
Constituency statements.
For you guys. Take on one side.
Honorable Youth Member for St. David.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in my role as the Youth Parliamentarian for St. David, I have made it my aim and my priority to actively support and empower young people, recognizing that investment in their growth is an investment in the future of our community and our nation. I have celebrated students' achievements and encouraged participation in school life. For example, I have contributed to the medals and trophies at the St. David's Catholic Secondary School sports to inspire healthy competition, teamwork, and dedication among students. Mr. Speaker, I believe that celebrating these achievements builds confidence and a sense of pride that extends beyond the sports field and into all areas of life. I also worked, Mr. Speaker, at enhancing the learning environment. In collaboration with a local supplier, we identified 2 schools, that of St. Teresa's and St. Dominic's RC. These 2 schools, Mr. Speaker, of which one is completed, will receive vibrant ground paintings. And that school that is completed, Mr. Speaker, is St. Teresa's RC School. Recognizing the importance of youth mental health, Mr. Speaker, I launched a campaign, Very Calm, Very Mindful, Very Me, with mental health advocate and Miss Grenada 2024, Aliyah Sandy. We began at the Westall Secondary School, sharing a message of calm, care, and clarity. The goal is to plant seeds of mindfulness, to nurture emotional well-being, and spark open conversations. And by creating these spaces, Mr. Speaker, for students, they are able to learn simple self-care strategies, and then they are able to empower. Then they are able to be empowered to face challenges with courage, strength, resilience, and confidence. To nurture leadership potential, Mr. Speaker, I proudly sponsored the Youth Emerging Leader Award at the St. David's Catholic Secondary School graduation. This initiative was further supported by a generous contribution by Markers Supplies, underscoring a shared commitment to recognizing and empowering young leaders. In collaboration with the National Youth Parliament, Mr. Speaker, we launched Under the Breadfruit Tree, an initiative aimed at connecting youths in communities and homes through meaningful conversations, mentorship, and guidance. In June, we began at the Father Maligan Home, as the Honorable Member for St. George South would recall. And we shared meals, we exchanged wisdom, and we brought the space to life with cultural songs and storytelling, creating a moment of connection, of learning, and of joy. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, I joined the youth parliamentarians in supporting a fellow creative to further his studies through monetary contributions. Lest we forget Honorable Member of St. George Northeast, Honorable Member of St. George Southeast. We enabled him to pursue his dreams and to continue developing his talent. Mr. Speaker, initiatives like these demonstrate the power of community, demonstrates the power of support and the importance of investing in the potential of young people to succeed. So, Mr. Speaker, as I move forward, I am committed to working on behalf of the young people of St. David with renewed passion and purpose. I aim to advance technical and vocational training programs that equip young men with in-demand skills, enabling them to develop marketable projects, generate income, and cultivate a passion for craftsmanship and innovation. In addition, I will continue advocating and implementing initiatives to address mental health challenges among our youth, while promoting engagement in arts as a vital revenue for personal growth and community development. I am grateful to the residents, to the youths of St. David for affording me this opportunity to serve as a national youth parliament, as a national youth parliamentarian. And I thank them, and I thank everybody, those who have supported me throughout these initiatives and beyond. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Member for St. Patrick East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, esteemed colleagues, and fellow Grenadians, it is with great honor that I present to you, under the responsibility of Youth Parliament for St. Patrick's East, some of the activities that I would have undertaken. Firstly, on August 21st, I organized and led a health walk under the theme A Healthier St. Patrick's. This event brought together young people, community members, and partnering with organizations to promote physical fitness and healthy lifestyles. Special appreciation goes out to the Ministry of Sports and the Ministry of Youth and other local sponsors who made this initiative a success. Secondly, school bag distribution. Recognizing the financial challenge many families face, I spearheaded the distribution of school bags and school supplies to students across the constituency. This initiative was not only about providing learning materials, but also giving hope and motivation and encouragement to our young people as they continue their education journey. Also, I would have collaborated with fellow NYPs to a visit of the boys' home. As part of strengthening national solidarity, I joined my colleagues from the National Youth Parliament in a visit to the Home for the Boys. Together, we encourage the residents, mentored the young ones, and planted trees. This collaboration underscored the power of unity among the young leaders and shared responsibilities to upkeep vulnerable groups in society. Distribution of water. In keeping with the theme of a healthier St. Patrick's, I distributed some cases of water to a few individuals across the community who, for one health reason or the other, cannot use or consume the tap water or Nawasa water, so I distributed the cases of water to them. Recently, the youth group of Montrose, which I'm currently a part of, came out and painted the bus shed, which is located in front of the secondary school, the Montrose Secondary School, and 2 pedestrian crossings so that the pedestrians can cross safely. Also, a sign was planted welcoming individuals to the wonderful and beautiful village of Montrose. These initiatives are a statement to the potential youth leadership in shaping stronger communities. While challenges remain, the work done so far reflects a commitment to service, empowerment, and progress for the people of St. Patrick's East. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Member for St. Patrick West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the audience, fellow colleagues, everyone, especially invited guests, members of the media and the diaspora, pleasant good morning. I promise I won't be long, Mr. Speaker. It is with pride and responsibility that I rise today to give my constituency statement as the Youth Parliamentarian for St. Patrick West and to report on the work undertaken within my constituency and to reaffirm my commitment to empowerment of our young people. In recent months, I have sought to address the pressing issue of youth unemployment, recognizing the potential of agriculture as both a livelihood and a driver of national development. I personally assisted unemployed young men in my constituency by providing financial support for the purchase of agricultural produce. This initiative was not simply about immediate relief. It was about planting seeds of opportunity, encouraging self-reliance, and fostering dignity through meaningful work. Beyond financial assistance, I engaged directly with young farmers within my constituency to explore the role of technology in agriculture, Mr. Speaker. These conversations highlighted the importance of innovation, whether through modern farming techniques, digital tools for crop management, or access to information networks. Mr. Speaker, collaboration has also been central to my work. I've partnered with a constituent, and together we have begun to develop the structure and objectives for an event scheduled for next year, please Lord. This will be an initiative designed to bring together young people, stakeholders, and community leaders to chart pathways for empowerment, entrepreneurship, and sustainable development. Equally important, Mr. Speaker, has been my commitment to constituent engagement. Through walkabouts in the villages of Mount Craven, Shantimel, High Street, Lamode, and Celeste, I met with young people to face, listening to their concerns about local development, mental health, unemployment, and of course the integration of technology in agriculture. These engagements reaffirmed that leadership is not about speaking for the people, but listening to them, walking alongside them, and co-creating solutions that reflect their lived realities. Mr. Speaker, the work in St. Patrick West is ongoing. Still, the vision is clear. A constituency where youth are empowered, agriculture is modernized, and community development is driven by collaboration and innovation. I pledge to continue serving with integrity, to remain accessible to my constituents, and to ensure that the voices of our young people are not only heard, but are also acted upon. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Members, before you proceed with the rest of the constituency statements, the National Youth Parliament recognizes Ms. Carleen Perriman, Coordinator of Youth, who is a stranger in our gallery. Honorable Members, you may proceed. Honorable Member for St. George Northeast.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pleasant morning to everybody, colleagues, Mr. Speaker, members of the gallery, members of the media. Good morning. Mr. Speaker, it gives me great pleasure to present on this year's activity for the constituency of St. George Northeast. Mr. Speaker, throughout our campaign process, we discovered what seemed to us to be a problem of community engagement. Mr. Speaker, as we journeyed through the community, persons were saying to us, nothing is happening. So, Mr. Speaker, with that in mind, my team's effort for this year's, we focused on the St. George Northeast Community Builders project, in which we umbrellaed most of our activities for the year. And so, in that regard, Mr. Speaker, for the year 2025, we visited the Booker Secondary School. They invited us to participate in one of the career fairs, and this provided an opportunity for us and myself as a Youth Minister for Health to promote healthy eating and to promote nutrition towards the students. Mr. Speaker, we also collaborated this year with the Constituency Youth Coordinator in executing SEACH 1.0, which was a career and a continuing education fair in the Willis community, where we brought stakeholders, educational stakeholders, companies like, we're talking about National Training Agency, and we involved some of those stakeholders in the area of technical and vocational training. We had NULO coming out with us as well. We had NIS presenting on their programs as well. And this allowed us to bring the necessary information to our constituents, and it also allowed them to sign up for opportunities, and it provided discounted services to them in the effort to advance their professional, personal, and academic career. Mr. Speaker, we also, this year in particular, we also worked along with the Queen Elizabeth Home for Children. Mr. Speaker, upon visiting that home, we found that oftentimes we take for granted the opportunities afforded to many of us to have parents and to have that social network and that support. And when we visited the home, we realized that there was a deep call for community, there was a deep call for care and concern, and we looked at the children and there was a deep call for love. And so we took the opportunity to bring our St. George Northeast Community Builders Heads, Hearts, and Hands initiative to the home. Mr. Speaker, on that day in particular, we did a cleanup campaign where we filled an entire bin, right, a skip of garbage around the area. We were invited by the home to support in that initiative, and we brought approximately 12 volunteers, and this project was aimed at a twofold intervention. We wanted to show the young person that youth in the community care about their wellness, but we also wanted to raise awareness among the volunteers. We wanted for them to understand that social engagement and getting involved in community work, especially with those among us who need it the most, we wanted them to have a profound sense of an appreciation for what young persons are going through. So on that day in particular, we prepared over 30 lunches which served the volunteers. It served all of the youths at the home, and it also served the staff. And so we did an all-down dish. We promoted our local culture, and the meal was prepared locally by the volunteers. To conclude the day's activity, Mr. Speaker, we had a fun day kind of activity where we engaged in different games, from skip to rounders. Though the rain did come, we were able to relocate to the gazebo where some of those activities took place. Mr. Speaker, we left the home with sustainability in mind, and we donated and planted 3 swivel orange trees. And we believe that even though the children who are there now may not necessarily benefit from it, we wanted to ensure that as we talk about health and wellness, that we create the environment, the sustainable environment where fruits could have been available to them. Mr. Speaker, in addition to that activity, we coordinated a five-a-side football competition at almost to the beginning of the year, where we had young persons forming different teams and coming together with community camaraderie to participate in this activity. We had 3 teams entering, and at the end of the day, we came out with a winner. For the constituency as well, we also partnered with a local volleyball coach for the constituency, who reached out and said that she wanted to be able to increase the training offered to some of the young girls in the community. And so we partnered with her in sponsoring a gallon of paint and supporting the initiative towards having the volleyball goals welded back. And so those are some of the activities that we took part in for the constituency. We have our flagship program, Mr. Speaker, our St. George Northeast Urban Gardens project, which we hope to start this year. We've already begun working on that project. And we're talking about climate smart agriculture. We're talking about innovation for young persons. Mr. Speaker, we have earmarked 3 schools within the constituency of St. George Northeast. And what we plan to do is that we plan to bring gardening with a change. We've looked across the globe, and we've realized that people are able to grow food in very small spaces. We also know what the understanding and the culture about going in the mud, sometimes and the cutlass, and we understand that slavery stigma that the young persons have. And so we want to change that. We want to present a modernized approach where we will give 30 grow bags, and we will provide the materials, the soil inputs, and the fertilizer, as well as we will have an educational component where we will teach sustainability, and we will show how these crops grown can go directly into the school feeding program to support the educational success of the children. We aim to partner with the 4-H clubs of the schools to have this project sustained in the long run. Mr. Speaker, and of course, as aforementioned by my colleagues, we did collaborate with them under the Breadfruit Tree activity. We collaborated in terms of sponsoring that student that you heard about from my honorable colleague from St. David. And this marks some of the activities that we did for the year. Unfortunately, as we know, and I want to extend my sincere thanks to all of those who extended their condolences this year. This year was not a very easy year for my family and I, but we pressed through nonetheless, and we continue to do the work of strengthening and supporting the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Member for St. George South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As my colleagues alluded to, given precedence and procedure, good morning all. I want to commend my colleagues for such wonderful projects and wonderful initiatives. It's our continued strength to represent the youth of our constituencies on a national and constituency level. So for the St. George South constituency, which I'm the youth representative for, began in February, which was the serenade ceremony of all of us. And between February and October, I engaged in several initiatives aimed at uplifting communities, supporting youth development, and promoting climate and social awareness, both within my constituency, St. George South, and nationally. So on January the 21st, I joined with the Honorable Minister, Minister Andy Williams, and his team for a community outreach initiative in Fenton Village. This engagement allowed for direct interaction with residents while participating in hands-on activities that supported community well-being and cohesion. In addition to this outreach, I made several visits to the office as part of the mentorship component of the National Youth Parliament Program. These visits provided a valuable learning experience, offering insight into how constituency offices operate and serve their communities. Mr. Speaker, in February, during a visit to the temporarily relocated Father Mulligan Home for the Boys, I identified a need for a deeper engagement with the boys. I proposed the idea of organizing a day of activities and mentorship. The idea came to life on June 21st through the event which Akim and Tariq, the honorable members, mentioned, under the Breadfruit Tree, which we collaborated on, and this initiative brought us together, the youth parliamentarians and the boys of the home, for a meaningful day of connection, learning, support, facilitated with help from home staff and the St. George Community Outreach Associates. Mr. Speaker, throughout this period, I participated in several other community activities, one including a Block Vibes session held on March 28th at the Grand Anse Valley, aimed at fostering positive youth interaction and dialogue. On May 25th, I joined fellow youth leaders and youth parliamentarians in an anti-drugs and anti-violence march under the theme Southside Together, Drug and Violence Free Forever. It was organized by the Ministry of Social Development, Social and Community Development. This event promoted a united stance against social issues affecting young people in our communities. Mr. Speaker, in March, I was also honored to be selected to spend the day at the British High Commission, and I spent the day with Mr. Victor Clark, resident British High Commissioner, gaining exposure to diplomatic protocols and engaging with various national stakeholders. This experience helped strengthen my understanding of international relations and importance of youth diplomacy. Mr. Speaker, as part of the National Youth Parliament Program, which is mentorship, I also visited another constituency office, which was in St. John, and I spent a day at the office learning how the offices work and engaging with some of the constituents. Mr. Speaker, I also had the privilege of participating in two major national events. On March 31st, I delivered the welcoming remarks at the 3rd Caribbean National Determined Contribution Investment Forum held in Grenada. The event brought together regional leaders and stakeholders to advance the Caribbean's climate investment agenda. On June 27th, I once again delivered welcome remarks and participated in the opening ceremony of Grenada's inaugural National Youth Climate Change Forum, held under the theme Strengthening Young Voices for a Just and Resilient Future in Grenada. This forum was a major step toward empowering young voices in climate policy and resilience planning. Mr. Speaker, in observance of Child Month, I was invited to lead a discussion on the topic of marijuana at my alma mater, the St. George SDA Primary School, for the students' SBA assignment, with my colleague who's unfortunately not here, Honorable Vonique Lewis, and we spent a significant time talking with them about marijuana and the effects, the dangers, and how to navigate through life, being substance-free and so forth. Mr. Speaker, I also want to give notice to an upcoming event that I am partnering with the Kevin Cox Basketball Academy, and we are putting on a basketball competition at the Grand Anse basketball court. It will be on December the 20th from 4 p.m. to 10 a.m. and it will facilitate young players as well as older players over 35, and there will be a special dunk and three-point shootout contest. Mr. Speaker, over the past months, I've remained deeply committed to engaging with communities, amplifying youth voices, and supporting national development priorities through active participation and leadership. Mr. Speaker, I look forward to continuing this work and representing the interests of young people in the St. George South with purpose and integrity. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Over the duration of our journey, my team and I have placed much emphasis on youth developmental initiatives, community resilience, emergency and disaster management, agriculture, education, sports, and employment for the youth of St. John. On the education, Mr. Speaker, we are proud to report that we would have assisted over 20 young Grenadian youth with their application process to attend international short courses and to apply for full scholarships. And today, Mr. Speaker, all 20 applicants were successful. As of last August, we collaborated with Alvin Britton for his back-to-school giveaway, in which many school bags and school supplies were given to the youth of Guav St. John. Under community resilience, we would have recently launched the Echoes of Life First Aid and CPR training program for St. John and St. Mark, in which 35 participants were trained at St. George's University on November 1st. Now, these schools included St. Mark's Secondary School, St. Rose Modern Secondary School, and Newlow, Mr. Speaker. Firstly, we would like to thank the Youth MP for St. Mark's for the collaboration on this project, Youth MP from St. Patrick's Northeast. Special thank you to our sponsors, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Community and Social Development, the Ministry of Youth and Sport, the Grenada Bottling Company Limited, Deco Industries, Keita Davis, and our photographer, Mr. Joshua Bartholomew. Thank you again to all the volunteers, the community youth officers from the Ministry of Youth and Sport, Youth Ambassador from St. Mark's, Ms. K.L. Cyrus, to the members from WIAC, Youth Emergency Action Committee, Ms. John, Ms. Joseph, thank you. Mr. Speaker, we further went ahead in assisting young business owners with much needed equipment. For individuals who had to go on job interviews, my team and I, we helped them to purchase the clothing to attend those interviews, Mr. Speaker. For individuals who run chef businesses, we help them to provide those uniforms, Mr. Speaker. For people in the entertainment industry, we have provided them with wireless microphones, with fog machines, and so much more, Mr. Speaker. My team and I believe in youth development, and in doing so, we try our very best to help the youth of St. John. Another mission that we embarked on is transportation assistance for students in a very far parish, Mr. Speaker. And we would like to say thank you to the ministry or the office of the Prime Minister for his assistance in ensuring that these finances were given to a family of 6 to help them to commute from their parish to TAMCC and back for 3 months. Mr. Speaker, we believe in engaging with our seniors. They are the ones who made today possible. Therefore, my team and I have started conversations in hosting an event for our seniors, which will entail giving back to them. So we have started conversations with the homes, the Hillsview homes in Guelph St. John. We have found out the items that they need for operation, and we are currently trying to source sponsorship to deliver these items to the homes. Now, the name of this initiative is the Legacy Kingship, an Afternoon of Rhymes and Tradition. Now, this will happen on December 27th from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the Hillsview Senior Homes. We will have 1 hour of gospel live music. We will have entertainment such as traditional drumming, dancing, and storytelling. Grenadians, we wouldn't be here today without our seniors. So it is important for us to let them know that they are cared for, they are loved, and they are seen. Honorable members, my team and I are also looking to address youth unemployment, which is of paramount importance. So early January next year, please the Lord, we are looking to have a job fair in St. John for St. John and St. Mark. Now, we have already started conversations with various companies. It is our hope to meet our youth where they are. So in the process of this job fair, my team and I would meet the applicants prior to the event to help them be with their CV writing and so forth. Our youth are not just the future, they are today. And if we don't help them along the way, then what is the purpose of us being here today in the House of Parliament? Mr. Speaker, in securing our future, we are looking at sustainable agriculture. In March of 2026, my team and I are looking to launch an agricultural mission in which we will train youth from St. John and St. Mark in rainwater harvesting, treatment, and catchment system. Now, we have already started conversations with the relevant individuals, and hopefully, Mr. Speaker, at the end of our conversation, this program will come into reality next year, March, please the Lord. Now, there are so many things that my team and I have done, and I can't take the entire morning to see. But what I can tell you, my Grenadian people, is we are ready to work with the young people of our nation. We may not have all the resources, therefore we look to you, to our ministries, to our companies, to our NGOs, and to you, our citizens. If you are able to help us with any of these projects, then reach out to us through the Ministry of Youth and Sport. Our youth are the nation. Without them, we are nothing. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Before we proceed, the National Youth Parliament recognizes Ms. Kim Frederick, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Youth and Sports, who is sitting in the audience as a stranger. Honourable Members, you may proceed. Honourable Member for St. Patrick East.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to confirm the minutes of the proceeding of the National Youth Parliament held at the Grenada House of Parliament on August 27, 2025.
Honourable Members, the question proposed is that the minutes of the meeting of the National Youth Parliament held at the Grenada House of Parliament on August 27, 2025, be confirmed. Honourable Members, the question proposed is that the minutes of the meeting of the National Youth Parliament held at the Grenada House of Parliament on August 27, 2025, be confirmed. Those of the opinion say aye.
Aye.
And those of the contrary, nay. Honourable Member for St. Andrew Northeast.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning to you and to everyone here in this honorable chamber. It's a pleasure to see so many young people amongst us today as we reflect on a year of service. You know, I take note that after another year, it could be one of you sitting on this floor. I am honored to report that we have not only acted on the promises made, but delivered meaningfully on the manifesto with impact that can be seen, felt, and carried forward. As the youth representative for St. Andrews Northeast, one of the first actions taken this year was to formally establish a St. Andrews Northeast Youth Force, a volunteer-driven group of young people whose mandate was to power youth development, advocate for young people, and execute the projects. This group continues to serve as an active grassroots body, supporting the work of the constituency and helping to bring ideas to life. Among our first initiatives was a tutoring program designed to uplift students preparing for examinations for CPEA and CSEC. Volunteer tutors offered weekly support across key subjects, focusing on review, confidence building, and academic reinforcement. This program received Ministry of Education approval, was backed by the T.A. Marischal Community College Community Service Book Group, and carried the heart of our mandate. We also collaborated with Youth MP for St. Andrews Northwest. The tutors and students had the advantage of AI chatbots designed specifically for the CPEA and CSEC syllabuses by the MP for St. Andrew Northwest. Another major achievement was our Youth in Sports Uniting Communities initiative, where we celebrated 3 outstanding young athletes from St. Andrew Northeast who excelled in the Intercol Games. Each athlete was presented with packages including a smartwatch, motivational journals, affirmation jars, spa passes for both themselves and a parent. Along with that, we did a tribute video to highlight their journey, discipline, and strength. The goal was to inspire other young people to believe that commitment yields greatness and that their community stands firmly behind them. Our community outreach also extended in collaboration with the MP for St. David and many of the other youth parliamentarians for a visit to the Father Mulligan Boys Home, a residential care facility. There, I assisted with creative engagement, song, and motivational support aimed at affirming self-worth and belonging. We also assisted young people one-on-one with building their CVs and interview prep for employment. In addition to constituency projects, I represented my constituents across Grenada on several national platforms. I delivered a motivational message to more than 800 young people at the Adventist Youth Pathfinders Camp, reminding them to activate purpose, faith, and leadership within themselves. I engaged in youth and community cultural events in La Poterie and Carrière, Saraka. I continued to raise awareness along with my team on campaigns for inclusion and disability, as well as mental health. I also represented on Beyond the Headlines, where we discussed the 2026 national budget, the Age of Civil Responsibility Bill, and youth program progress. In recognition of World Suicide Prevention Day, I served as moderator for the national conversation on youth and mental health, youth and mental well-being, titled Healing Starts Here, featuring mental health professionals and counselors. It provided a safe space for real dialogue, healing, and hope. The day featured, the conversation then carried forward into October, where we hosted a community hike for wellness. The day featured a guided treasure hunt where winners were gifted spa treatment, reinforcing self-care and appreciation for life. We also partnered with the Royal Grenada Police Force, who led us in a cool-down dance exercise at the end of the hike, closing the day with joy, laughter, movement, and motivation. The hike served as a reminder that advocacy is not only spoken but lived, and that nature provides positive outlets for stress relief and rejuvenation. As we conclude the year, I will be conducting one major closing initiative titled Beyond the Journey, a Christmas retreat for teen moms and dads. Scheduled for December, this retreat is designed to restore dignity, encourage healing, and support young parents through shared experience, wellness sessions, panel discussion, and a Christmas hamper distribution. It will provide empowerment, emotional support, and pathways back into education and opportunities. I stand proud in this moment, able to say, my manifesto is not just a document, it is an active reality. Commitments were executed, promises were honored, youth voices were amplified. The work continues. Thank you for your trust in me. Thank you for your participation and for your belief in what youth leadership can achieve. Thank you to my team and the Ministry of Youth who supports us. Together, we have truly created opportunities for young people to build their dreams.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Member for St. George Northwest.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, Mr. Speaker, and this Honorable House. This is a constituency statement for St. George Northwest. In January and February, residents, together with myself, participated in cleanup efforts at the Brizan Community Center and surrounded areas in preparation for independence. Continued support was also extended to the Brizan Progressive Movement, BPM, with meetings and initiatives such as the barbecue luncheon held in April, which helped to strengthen youth involvement and foster community spirit. In recognition of Men's Mental Health Month, the constituency also contributed to the planning and coordination of public awareness video in collaboration with youth leaders. These initiatives reflect our ongoing commitment to youth development and environmental responsibility and national progress, ensuring that the voices and contributions of the constituency are represented both locally and nationally. Thanks to the dedication of past executives and current members of the Brizan Progressive Movement, the Welcome to Brizan sign was proudly erected on the 1st of August. The past month was Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and I'm grateful to say that I was able to partake in the mental health awareness hike with NYP Carrie-Ann Maras, where I was able to contribute by crocheting bracelets in the colors of the suicide prevention. On the 22nd of September, I visited 2 schools, which are Uganda Matters Roman Catholic Primary School in Happy Hill and a private school in Morris called TLC Academy. During my time there, I presented on cyberbullying and the pros and cons of social media, and I gave them a token of appreciation for allowing me to present to them. I look forward to doing more activities like presenting on the menstrual cycle at the Uganda Matters grade 6 students and hosting an event in relation to the Christmas holiday season. These are the updates, and I thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Member for St. Mark.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. I stand here to present the constituency statement for St. Mark. Now, over the past couple of months, I've been engaged in some community projects. During the month of March, my team and I, with donations from businesses and community members, we organized a school supply drive where school bags, notebooks, and pencils, and so forth, was distributed to 2 primary schools within my parish. During the month of June, contributions was made towards the Father Day initiative held by the community members. Where gifts was given to fathers to show, as a show of appreciation for the hard work and dedication towards their family. It is always great to celebrate present fathers as they play an integral role in the lives of the young ones. Also, during the month of June, my team and I, with donations from Mount Edgecombe and George F. Huggins, presented special awards at the graduation ceremonies to the most improved students at the Bonnet Government School and Samaritan Presbyterian School, in the form of lunch passes for the student and the parent, and vouchers for school books. The idea was to show appreciation and motivate the students who made significant academic improvements. I would like to use this opportunity to thank Mount Edgecombe and George F. Huggins for the contribution to this noble cause. In September, again, myself and one of the national youth ambassadors for St. Mark presented school supplies to some of the athletes of the Momentum Track and Field Club in St. Mark, of which I am also a part of. The idea is to inspire the student athletes and let them know that we are not just here to support and cheer on the athletic achievements, but also the academics as well. During the month of November, as the MP for St. John said earlier, I collaborated on the first aid training program with a total of 35 students participating from St. Mark, St. Rose, and Newry. I would not go too much into it as she already presented on it. Going forward, we are hoping to hold a financial management seminar for the fisher folk of St. Mark and St. John, where presenters from the financial sector will speak on areas like budgeting, investment, access to loans, and so forth. And these, Mr. Speaker, are the updates my constituency. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Member for Town of St. George.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is truly an honor, good morning, sorry. It's truly an honor to stand here before you today as your National Youth Parliamentarian for the Town of St. George. My commitment remains to serve our community, to engage young people, and to ensure that their voices are heard in national conversation. Over the past weeks, I have been actively involved in several initiatives. On March 4th, we launched the Futurepreneur Series, a platform designed to showcase small businesses in the town of St. George and give them the visibility that they deserve. Our very first feature highlighted Delicious Delights, a business that reflects creativity, resilience, and hard work that exists right here in our community. By spotlighting entrepreneurs like them, my goal is to inspire others, especially young people, to see business ownership as a real and attainable path. Beyond this, we have spent time walking through the community and speaking directly with our youth. Their stories, challenges, and aspirations remind me daily why this role is important. Many of them are searching for opportunities to grow, learn, and to thrive, and it is our duty to create spaces where they can succeed. Additionally, I had the privilege of returning to my alma mater, the Anglican High School, where I participated in a Commonwealth activity. Standing where I once sat as a student was a full moment circle for me. That reminded me that leadership is not just about where you stand today, but about giving back and to the places that shaped you. On Saturday, November 22nd, I was also honored to take part in the unveiling of the Welcome to Riverwood sign redesign. This initiative reflects our community's pride and the ongoing efforts to uplift and transform our shared spaces. Looking ahead, I am committed to advancing several project plans centered on youth development, education, and community engagement. These initiatives are designed to empower our young people, strengthen our educational pathways, and deepen community involvement across this constituency. But this is only the beginning. The work ahead is great, and the vision we share for our community is even greater. With dedication, collaboration, and continued support, we can build momentum and transform these plans into a lasting impact. In closing, I want to reaffirm my dedication to serving this constituency with transparency, action, and a heart. Together, I believe we can inspire change, foster growth, and continue building a community where every young person feels seen, supported, and valued. And as we move forward, know that this journey has only begun. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member.
Petitions. Personal explanations.
Motions.
Honorable Member for St. John.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to move for the adoption of the following resolution standing in my name. Whereas Grenada continues its journey beyond the 50th Jubilee celebration of independence, committed to building a resilient, inclusive, and innovative society. And whereas the 2025 national budget outlined fiscal priorities in economic resilience and diversification, youth empowerment and employment, climate resilience and sustainability, digital transformation and infrastructure development. And whereas the youth represents the driving force of Grenada's future and must be central to national planning, inclusive development, and social protection. And whereas the National Youth Parliament of Grenada recognizes the importance of sustained, equitable, and visionary budgeting to empower young citizens. Be it resolved that the 2026 estimates of revenue and expenditure place greater emphasis on advancing the development and empowerment of the youth of Grenada, who represents more than 60% of the nation's population, through increased allocations for investments in key areas such as education and training, technology and innovation, health, and social development. Be it further resolved that the National Youth Parliament of Grenada commit to monitoring the implementation of youth-related budgeted initiatives in and to advocating for continued investment in the empowerment of young people as agents of national transformation.
Honorable members, the question proposed to the National Youth Parliament is, be it resolved that the 2026 estimates of revenue and expenditure place greater emphasis on advancing the development and empowerment of the youth of Grenada, who represent more than 60% of the nation's population, through increased allocations for investments in key areas such as education and training, technology and innovation, health, and social development. Be it further resolved that the National Youth Parliament of Grenada commits to monitoring the implementation of youth-related budget initiatives in and to advocating for continued investment in the empowerment of young people as agents of national transformation. Honorable Youth Member for St. John.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Permission to quote throughout my entire speech?
Permission granted.
Thank you. Honorable members, fellow Grenadians, and to you, our youth of this Spice Nation, a special good morning to you. For too long, the destiny of our nation's youth has been debated from a distance. Today, I rise not to review the past. I rise to launch a future mandate, a mandate rooted in the spirit of our independence and the urgency of this moment. This is not simply about reviewing the budget. It is about defining our moral character. The resolution demands we acknowledge that the youth, more than 60% of our population, are the driving force of Grenada's future. Mr. Speaker, we are here to seize this moment and affirm our commitment. Will we continue to merely allocate funds, or will we finally emerge a young, dynamic Grenadian talent into the very DNA of visionary budgeting and accountable delivery? This resolution is our national turning point. We declare right here, right now, that sustained, equitable, and visionary budgeting for our young people is the path towards national transformation. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I launch a declaration of war on stagnation. I urge you members and citizens in every corner of this tri-island state to listen, not solely to the numbers, but to the heartbeat of Grenada, our youth, our future. We have laid the fiscal foundation. Look at the numbers. Our budget has grown from EC 1.55 billion in 2023 to the historic 1.91 billion for 2025, and the 2026 estimates of EC 2.1 billion are not just figures. They are the blueprints for a truly youth-centric economy. Fellow Grenadians, the question again is simple. Will we continue to merely allocate funds, or will we finally unlock the power of our people? Honorable members, we are not just advocates. We are professional locksmiths, and Grenada's potential is opening for business today. We are prepared to deliver on that choice. As the 2025 budget statement rightfully declared, and I quote, "Investing in youth development and sports is not just a social priority. It is a strategic economic imperative," end of quote. A record of EC 68.9 million has been directly allocated to youth and sport development. This is not an expense. It is an oath of allocation and our non-negotiable commitment to the youth of our nation. This funding, Mr. Speaker, is already yielding results. The Imani initiative has equipped over 3,000 young people with job-ready skills. The Youth in Business Fund financed over 400 entrepreneurs, securing 800 new jobs. Coupled with vital programs like SKY, Skills for Youth Empowerment. In total, Mr. Speaker, over 10,000 young citizens of Grenada have directly benefited since 2023. But success demands brutal self-reflection. We secured the funds, we designed the programs, but we must confront the paralyzing truth. We are failing in the final mile of delivery. Honorable members, we are delivering approximately only half of the promise. The capital project execution rate is sadly stuck at a frustrating but unacceptable 55%. Think about it this way. Out of the EC 68.9 million allocated for our youth, EC 31 million was either delayed, retracted, or never materialized by the end of the year. Now, yes, this is unacceptable. It should not be considered as governance. It is the paralysis of potential. What does a 45% failure rate look like in real-life Grenadian people? It looks like delayed clinics, unfinished schools and bridges. It looks like young talent waiting, and then walking away. These failures are caused by the capacity gap, administrative delays, and talent mismatch. But unlike those who merely complain, Mr. Speaker, we come with a plan for immediate and decisive action. In eliminating administrative delays, we must establish the Monitoring and Accountability Task Force to strategically track every capital dollar on a weekly basis, guaranteeing that funds are used for their intended purposes and are not retracted by the end of the year. We must launch a special project acceleration team, Mr. Speaker, drafted with fresh skill minds to push ministries and maintain momentum. We can draw inspiration from successful models like Guyana's rapid deployment team, Mr. Speaker. And of course, the National Youth Parliamentarians, will provide real-time, independent oversight on these initiatives. In solving the capacity gap, our answer is the National Youth Capacity Fellowship, a direct pipeline to fill the 120 vacant positions that are hindering our progress. This is a skill-first approach. For example, where every fellow begins a 2-month mentorship program with a senior expert. Once they demonstrate skills and the competency that they need, then we will draft them for the position, even without the traditional academic qualification. This approach is inspired by pragmatic regional models in Barbados. In addressing talent mismatch, honorable members, we should launch the Public Service Executive Readiness Program. Now, this training focuses on the mechanics of government: fast, flexible project planning, procurement, and financial accountability. Our technical graduates will not just know the policy, they will be the efficient executors of these policies. Honorable members, advancement is driven by innovation and not the status quo. Let us tear down the walls of Jericho between the various ministries with the Cross-Ministerial Youth Innovation Fund, where ministries can submit joint proposals, co-sign, co-own, and co-deliver. This is grounded policy, where every dollar has a dual impact. Our vision for 2026 is clear, concrete, and transformative. Digital upskilling for global relevance, holistic wellness, the launch of regional youth wellness hubs, moving from reactive sickness care to proactive wellness investment. Because, Mr. Speaker, opportunity is meaningless without resilience. And we will initiate youth-led feedback mechanisms, giving the people who are impacted the power to help shape our programs. Honorable members, fellow Grenadians, we have secured the funds, identified the gaps, and delivered these solutions. The time for waiting is over, and amateur practices until he or she gets it right. But we are professional, and we practice until we cannot get it wrong. The future is not coming, it is already here. Wearing Grenadian colors, demanding action, and seeking results. Let us support this motion with the recommendation and turn this allocation into action. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Member for St. George Northeast.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues, members of the gallery, young people of Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. To our young nurses, doctors, and health professionals, a special good morning. Mr. Speaker, I rise this morning to second the resolution brought before this honorable House. And Mr. Speaker, in support of this resolution, this particular area of health and wellness, as is the portfolio assigned to me, is an interesting one, yet one that I'm passionate about. Mr. Speaker, I want to acknowledge the leader of government business this morning because she dictated to us that we have reflected and we understand what it is that we're being faced with. Mr. Speaker, in rising to support the resolution, when we talk about health, in reference to a national budget, we are not necessarily talking about expenditure. Mr. Speaker, we are talking about a sector that holds the foundation for every other sector, from education, agriculture, tourism, youth development, and national productivity. We're talking about productivity, Mr. Speaker, and we're going to go into productivity a bit. And so I want to posit to us this morning that health is not a cost, but health is always and must always be an investment, a smart investment at that. Mr. Speaker, we've reflected, and we've analyzed and we've looked over the recurrent expenditure. We've looked at the capital expenditure for the Ministry of Health, and we've combined them for today's presentation. Allow me to present to us a problem-solution dynamic this morning as I paint a picture of why we have reflected and why we are proposing some changes and some adjustments to them. Mr. Speaker, some known facts, I'm not sure how many of us are aware of this, but did you know that non-communicable diseases, chronic diseases, we're talking about diabetes, hypertension, chronic kidney diseases, those account for the leading causes of death in Grenada. Mr. Speaker, ischemic heart disease is one of the main causes of death. 13% of all deaths, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in 2009 to 2019, we've made there's a glaring observation that diabetes and chronic kidney disease rose by 11.6% to 32.4% respectively in Grenada. Mr. Speaker, I like to say that policy is felt and policy-driven behavior change. If you look around and we compare the time, I like to say to my clients at my lectures at clinics that what we see today is that if you go to a hospital, we have an entire dialysis wing. It shares to me that 10 years ago this was not the case. But Mr. Speaker, if we look at the cost of dialysis treatment alone, we can approximate that for one person, we're spending approximately $9,700 in approximate cost for curative care. Mr. Speaker, we can prevent these. So, Mr. Speaker, when we look at a strong health system, I like to not reinvent the wheel, but I presume that there are others, and we've found that there are others in the world who have learned from these mistakes, and we want to zero in on countries like Singapore, Japan, and Norway, who have been noted to have excellent healthcare systems, and there's some key characteristics that we have noticed from them that we are choosing to push forward in today's conversation. And so we notice that there is a strong emphasis on primary health care, early screening and prevention, strong community clinics, digital health records. We're talking about access to nutritious and affordable food. We cannot talk health and not talk nutrition. Every person across the population will be eating, so it must be important. We're talking about active lifestyle infrastructure outside of the clinical spaces. And when we talk about it, we're talking about things like enhancing our courts. We're talking about outdoor gyms. We're talking about bars for persons who are interested in calisthenics. We're talking about cycling infrastructure, walking infrastructure, green spaces. So, Mr. Speaker, as we understand this, you realize that our budget primarily is heavily focused in secondary health care. So, Mr. Speaker, when we look at the numbers, what we have seen is a glaring approximately 60% of all that we are spending going into secondary health care. Mr. Speaker, this doesn't sound like preventative to me. This sounds like we are pushing the can down the road. It sounds like we're in a meal in that mouse wheel and we're going around in circles, but we want to propose this with our 5-pillar framework for a difference. So, Mr. Speaker, let's call this our Heal Grenada initiative. And so, pillar 1, we're going to be focusing on primary health care. According to the World Health Organization, we are seeking to increase this expenditure by 30%, and again, it's an investment. Because we know, as we've seen in the statistics, that whenever we invest, Mr. Speaker, in primary health care and in nutrition, the returns are there. So, Mr. Speaker, can I have 1 minute to conclude, please?
1 minute, granted.
So, Mr. Speaker, we see that the investments are there. So, at the end of the day, our key areas, we're looking at investing in community health services, mental health and wellness. We heard it from the Honorable, from our Minister of Government Business. We're looking at strengthening our hospital services. We're not going to close them down. But, Mr. Speaker, we're talking about climate change. And we will, in fact, be upgrading our facilities so that we can see those necessary cost reductions. Mr. Speaker, whenever we talk about health, we're talking about quality of life. And so, Mr. Speaker, it's not just about living and living any old how, but it's about strengthening our productivity. And so, as we propose these 5 pillars, Mr. Speaker, how are we going to pay for it? Mr. Speaker, we have already seen that we have that sugar-sweetened beverages tax. We are going to be leveraging those taxes on alcohol and sweetened beverages, and we're going to be allocating them directly into primary health care. And so, of course, the funds are there. Mr. Speaker, As I conclude, I want to leave us with a call to action. Mr. Speaker, we have to build a Grenada. Half an hour, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member.
Half a minute, sorry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member, you may have your seats.
Half a minute.
Are there any other contributions to this debate? Honorable Member for St. Andrew Northeast.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning again to all in this honorable house. I rise representing my constituents of St. Andrews Northeast, but more importantly, the vibrant youth of Grenada. Let me start by affirming that the opposition share the vision behind the resolution. However, Mr. Speaker, while the vision is sound, the opposition is duty-bound to ask the difficult but necessary questions. How will this resolution be implemented? Does it provide clarity, structure, and fiscal support to truly deliver on its promises? We believe it falls short in 4 fundamental areas. 1, Grenadians are taxed to the teeth, and there is heavy reliance on taxation and limited fiscal space to support the budget. Lack of specificity in the resolution's key focus areas when there are key things you'd called for during the consultation. 3, weak implementation despite available allocations. And 4, insufficient authority for the National Youth Parliament to monitor. So while we agree with the heart of the resolution, we in the opposition are here to probe its backbone. We are not opposing youth development. We are demanding that it be done right, with focus, clarity, transparency, and results. Mr. Speaker, where is the money coming from for additional youth-focused spending? Allow me to explain how revenues are earned or gathered in this country. When a country's main strategy for revenue is not based on producing or exporting value, but rather on grants and taxing imports on our ports, squeezing the everyday consumer, we must question whether this is sustainable or even fair. The debt report for 2024 highlights an estimated 3.7% economic growth, driven by tourism, construction, transportation, retail, and manufacturing. On the surface, this sounds good. On the surface, this sounds good, but let's examine this more closely. The report notes that construction activity picked up largely due to post-hurricane reconstruction. Not that people have more money to start building houses of their own, but rather we are going through recovery. We are importing huge volumes of materials, and in some cases even skilled labor. So, money flows out to the foreign suppliers and even to foreign workers, while locals face higher prices for materials and pay more in taxes. The Honourable Member for St. George did answer a question I intended to ask: would they increase taxes to fund the budget? And he did say that we would be increasing taxes on beverages. Now, Mr. Speaker, from that debt report, I would have you to note that the manufacturing growth that was represented, it came from animal feed, beverages, and flour. In other words, our manufacturers are mostly selling to Grenadians. We are not significantly exporting. The people of Grenada are the ones buying products, circulating the same dollar amongst ourselves, paying taxes on every ton. The government's reliance on customs duties and consumption taxes increases the cost of living, particularly for youth with small businesses. Youths are forced to set their prices high to compete in local markets, to break even because of the exorbitant costs at our ports of entry. They may argue that inflation went down by 1.1% from 2.7% in 2023. But the lived realities on the ground tell a different story. Our salaries are not moving at a pace fast enough to keep up with the rising cost of goods and services. Mr. Speaker, I digress by saying, while import duties and taxes are important, it has a troubling ripple effect. There is very little free money for new initiatives or contingencies when you are relying on the Grenadian tax dollar. Youth empowerment requires an economy where young people can afford to create.
Honourable Member for St. George Northeast.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to raise on a point of clarity, please.
Honourable Member, do you yield?
I yield.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to clarify. The Honourable Member indicated that in my presentation I mentioned an increase in taxes. I think that is factually incorrect. I did note, however, that there is a 5% addition on taxes already, and this is what we will be using to directly fund the budget. I wish to clarify that, please. Thanks, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Member did say that they would use levies on beverages, which is where our economic growth comes from. So this, therefore, does state that we would be relying heavily on taxes to fund the budget. Another major concern in the resolution is the collection of buzzwords. The resolution lists important sectors: education and training, technology and innovation, social development. But what exactly does greater emphasis mean for each of these? Ambiguity at this level does not translate to effective budgeting. The government is essentially asking us to write them a blank check for merely reciting. We would use it for education. We would use it for technology and innovation. We want to see actual increase in the capital expenditure by project. This is a line item in the budget. Instead of vague sectors about specific programs, let us commit to, instead of vague sectors, how about specific programs? Let us commit to a fund, let's say for a national youth internship corps to tackle youth unemployment. Mr. Speaker, from an implementation standpoint, such vagueness can lead to different interpretations across ministries, or even token increases that may not address the direct core needs of our young people. Let us consider another alarming fact, which the Honourable Member for Government Business did mention. There are serious gaps between what is budgeted and what is actually spent. Underspending continues even when needs are urgent and pressing. Consider that roughly, for the Division of Youth in 2025 budgets, roughly 30.85 million was estimated or allocated, yet only half was spent. For projects, roughly 21 million was estimated and allocated, yet only 17.5 was spent. The government is looking like it's saving money, but largely it is failing to execute projects that could help the Grenadian youth. Let me share a perspective from our own experience. Youth parliamentarians, each of us have an allotted $5,000 grant this year to carry out a community project. We are grateful for it. It shows faith in our leadership. But do you know that many of us found $5,000 can barely scratch the surface of the big ideas that we have? Some members struggle to design a project that could create real impact with such limited funds. Our ideas are so impactful, so innovative, that often they require more than $5,000, and we have so much money that is not being implemented or put to use. A few of us manage to make progress by rallying additional support from local sponsors, and we hear shout-outs being done today. We made it work because youth are resourceful. But the lesson here is stark. If you want results, you must be willing to spend. Finally, the resolution calls for youth parliamentarians to monitor implementation of youth-related budget initiatives. While we support youth inclusion, come on, we're here today, the youth parliamentarians currently lack any legal mandate to access, to enforce meaningful oversight. Without structural empowerment, this role is symbolic at best. We must confront the reality as things stand. The Youth Parliament has no formal legal mandate to conduct oversight of government spending. The government might say, we will gladly share information. We welcome Youth Parliament interests. This is fine and well, but unless there is a systematic channel for it, it will depend on the will of whoever is in office. We, the opposition, are ready to do our part. Make no mistake. We have already shown up here today, and we stand ready to highlight issues and propose solutions. We will continue to be watchdogs and advocates, but we can only do this on a moral level. And the magnitude of proper monitoring goes beyond just 15 of us youth parliamentarians. It requires engagement from the whole society. So while we embrace the call to monitor, we urge the government to put in mechanisms that allow us to do so effectively. And by mechanisms, I'm not just saying policies. We need a legal framework, a legal mandate to work with. Mr. Speaker, this concludes my speech. I believe I've said enough for the people to understand.
All right, thank you, Honorable Member. Youth Member for St. Patrick East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With protocol already established, good morning. Mr. Speaker, I rise today with profound gratitude and an unwavering sense of purpose as I address the esteemed body on a resolution that speaks directly to the heart of our nation's future, the empowerment and development of Grenada's youth through strategic investment in education. Firstly, let me begin by saying that the recognition that youth represents more than 60% of our population is not merely a statistic, but it's a clear call for action, a reminder that our future is not some distant horizon, but rather the youth faces sitting in our classrooms today, the brilliant minds working in our communities, and the passionate voices echoing in chambers like this one. Honorable Member, education is the great equalizer. As we reflect on our journey beyond the 50th Jubilee of Independence, we must acknowledge that the most powerful investment any government can make is in the minds of its people. The 2025 budget laid a foundation of fiscal priorities, economic resilience, youth empowerment, climate sustainability, digital transformation, and infrastructure development. Each of these pillars, Mr. Speaker, is strengthened by one common thread: education. This resolution before us today calls for increased allocation in education and training technology and innovation, health and social development. I stand here not only in support of this resolution, but as a champion of its implementation. Mr. Speaker, let me speak to our achievements and our visions. The government has already taken historic steps towards making education accessible to every Grenadian child, regardless of their socioeconomic background. the introduction of free tuition at the T.A. Marisha Community College, an institution which I'm currently a part of, and the New Life organization has been transformative. This initiative saved our hard-working parents and guardians more than $1 million and resulted in recorded enrollment. But they didn't stop there. They allocated $1.5 million for the continuation of this free tuition program because we believe that financial barriers should never stand between a young person and their dreams. Furthermore, my fellow Grenadians, no child should go hungry while trying to learn. This is why the government implemented the free hot meals program, providing nutritious meals to all our students at the primary and secondary school levels. With $5 million allocated for this continuation, they are not just feeding bodies, they are nourishing minds, improving concentration, reducing absenteeism, and supporting families facing financial strains. But my honorary members, while we celebrate this achievement, this resolution rightly calls the government to do more. They must improve our technical and vocational training infrastructure. Currently, many of our TVEC programs operate with outdated equipment and limited capacity. They can address this by allocating additional funds to establish modern training centers equipped with technological, renewable energy, digital skills, and entrepreneurship. This should be done because the jobs of today require specialized skills, and our youth deserve training that leads directly to meaningful employment, not just certificates that gather dust. Mental health support must be strengthened for our students. The pressure facing young persons today are unprecedented. This can be addressed by allocating funds to place trained counselors in every primary and secondary schools to provide mental health awareness for teachers. This is important because a student struggling with depression, anxiety, or trauma cannot learn effectively. We must invest in the academics. Mr. Speaker, do I have 1 minute to just wrap up my speech? Thank you.
Honorable member, I grant you 30 seconds.
To the youth of today, I say this: you are not the leaders of tomorrow, you are the leaders of today. This government sees you, hears you, and is committed to investing your potential. The foundation of any prosperous nation is indeed a strong and resilient education system. As we build Grenada's future beyond, let us build it on the unshakable foundation of education, of an educated and empowered and engaged youth. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. Honorable members, before we proceed, please be guided by Standing Order number 35, item 5, which refers to reading of your speeches. Honorable members, you may proceed. Honorable Youth Member for St. Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First, I just want to acknowledge my alma mater in the gallery, my former teacher. I hope I do all the properly. Mr. Speaker, honorable members of this youth parliament, members of the media, and esteemed colleagues in the opposition, good morning. As always, I want to thank God for health and strength to be here today, and His traveling mercies for ensuring that I got here safely to participate in this important debate. I would like to begin by saying, the measure of a truly committed government is not how much money it spends, but how strategically it invests it. I want to commend the movers of this resolution for their unwavering passion. The premise that youth are the future is, of course, entirely correct. It's a bit like saying Grenada is a beautiful island. It's true. It's heartwarming. It requires zero debate. But we are not here to debate platitudes. We are here to debate policies and, more importantly, budgetary integrity. The resolution asks for greater emphasis on increased allocations. First, let's be honest on what the budget documents already show. In the 2024 budget, Mr. Speaker, the government allocated 240.5 million to education, youth, sports, and culture, the highest in our nation's history. In 2025, in the 2025 estimates, they went even further. EC, 183 million for education and 68.8 million for youth and sports, a combined total of 251.8 million. So, Mr. Speaker, when the resolution calls for greater emphasis, we must ask, greater than the highest allocations in our issue? The issue is not about money. The issue is about implementation and sustainability. In the 2024 and 2025 budgets, youth-related ministries already received historic increases. But young people still face lack of access to training in rural areas based on research by the International Labour Organization, St. Mark's and Carrick, who have the lowest certifications by parishes, 3.85% and 2.0%. Limited mentorship and internship opportunities. Sports programs and poor management. PE teachers are sent to schools. When they start to settle, they get a call, they have to move to another school. Some primary schools struggling to get materials effectively to carry the TVET program. Mr. Speaker, the member on the other side mentioned the TVET program. Education. Mr. Speaker, let's look at TVET programs in primary schools. Do you know there are schools that have not received materials for the Woodwork Center? There are schools whose home economic centers have to depend on teachers to buy supplies and to keep the department running effectively. Children are asked to bring supplies from the parents' house, and teachers have to take money to their own pockets to buy supplies. Mr. Speaker, District 7 does not even have an education officer for special needs. In January 2020, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Education sent a cohort of teachers in collaboration with SGU to study psychology with special education. Most, if not all, are back in the classroom setting. Mr. Speaker, the member on the other side says children should not go hungry while trying to learn. Yet, for school feeding, some principals have to buy groceries on their own. Imagine some schools only recently received groceries for the school feeding. We're almost at the end of the term. Mr. Speaker, monies were allocated for these things in the last budget. So increasing youth allocation in 2026 without fixing delivery is simply a repeat of the same cycles. The resolution treats education as a money problem, when budget shows it is a capacity and execution problem. Budget is not youth-friendly because it is big. It is youth-friendly because young people can see, feel, and access the benefits. Instead of these huge allocations of financial resources, the resolution should demand youth access and guarantees. Mr. Speaker, I am from St. Mark's, and it is only right I mention my parish. Mr. Speaker, youth development is still unequal across Grenada. Despite big budget allocations, St. Mark's will often receive fewer programs. Mr. Speaker, let's look at the recent youth month activities. St. Mark's can get none. Apparently, St. Mark's is a retirement home. Mr. Speaker, we want a system that is accountable to us, not a system that simply trusts us. Not a system that simply says, trust us, we increase the budget. Mr. Speaker, every parish must have at least a fully functioning youth resource center. Mr. Speaker, we should advocate for specific capital projects, one-time strategic investment in a digital youth hub network in 2026. This would be a one-time capital investment in physical and digital infrastructure, ensuring that a new ministry can decentralize services and reach more youth effectively, aligning with the National Digital Transformation Policy. Mr. Speaker, in closing, let me just say this plainly. Adding more money without fixing problems like pouring coconut water into a calabash, in a leaking calabash. A refreshing idea, but absolutely pointless. Our young people don't need that. Our young people don't need. Mr. Speaker, just 1 minute to wrap.
Honourable Member, because you are closing, I'll give you 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our young people don't need another big budget. They need big results. They need vacancies filled, programs delivered, materials and classroom opportunities in every parish in St. Mark's, which apparently is on the National Retirement Plan. Mr. Speaker, until your resolution stops throwing money at problems and start solving them, I cannot support it. Mr. Speaker, 30 seconds. So I rest my case before they increase the budget to try to fix my speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Youth Member for St. David.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, members of this Honorable House, and strangers in the gallery, we stand in the shadow of our Golden Jubilee. We have celebrated 51 years of resilience, 51 years of independence, and 51 years of defining who we are as a people. But, Mr. Speaker, while we honor the past, the budget we debate today is a blueprint for the future, our future. Therefore, my contribution as the Youth Minister for Social and Community Development and Gender Affairs will focus on a simple but critical question. Does the 2025 budget build people as effectively as it prioritizes pavements? And more fundamentally, is the budget prioritizing the strength of our walls over the health of our stores? Mr. Speaker, I must give credit where credit is due. The Rehabilitation Center. This allocation is commendable because for far too long, our justice system has focused on punishment rather than restoration. This signals a paradigm shift. It tells the young person struggling with addiction that Grenada has not given up on you. And it goes beyond any physical infrastructure, but rather it's a manifestation of a second chance. Mr. Speaker, I also applaud the EC 6 million for housing development project and EC 9 million for retrofitting affordable housing units. Housing is a youth issue. You can't want to build a career, you can't want to build a family if you're worried about the roof over your head. However, Mr. Speaker, I need to talk about spending priorities. The zero allocations, Mr. Speaker. I direct this Honorable House to the estimates for domestic violence and childcare, gender-based violence, and the Spotlight Initiative. This allocation sits at a cold, hard zero. This is a moral failure, Mr. Speaker. While we budget zero for prevention, a 2024 UN Women's Study reveals that violence against women costs approximately EC 171.6 million annually. Mr. Speaker, that's almost 5% of GDP. Money literally hemorrhaging for our economy. We know the Spotlight Initiative international cycle has ended, but where is the national commitment to close this dangerous funding gap? We cannot fight a 171 million problem with an empty bucket, Mr. Speaker. The reduction of the National Parenting Program from EC 165,000 to EC 140,000 is a strategic error. In an era where social media is influencing our children more than their community, parents need support, Mr. Speaker. Cutting this funding undermines the family unit, which is a very bedrock of society. Mr. Speaker, we are spending millions on the containment of men, on the imprisonment of men, but pennies, mere pennies, on the cultivation of strong boys. Where is the massive investment in conflict resolution in schools? Where is the funding for after-school mentorship in our high-risk communities? Why is EC 60,000 going towards training young offenders and EC 580,000 going towards strengthening the justice system for juveniles? The mass not massing, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I understand that the noise in the fish market is not the sale of the fish. And therefore, I propose the following recommendations. We cannot limit opportunities to one parish. There must be youth innovation hubs in rural parishes to monetize the creative economy and secure our national food sovereignty through agri-tech and the blue economy. Mr. Speaker, there must be a gender-responsive budgeting. We must ensure that every dollar counts, that every dollar spent counts for everyone. This means asking, very simply, does the new road have lighting for women to walk home at night? Does the agricultural grant reach women farmers as much as they reach male farmers? We specifically need funding for programs that address toxic masculinity and engage young men as allies in the fight against gender-based violence. Mr. Speaker, esteemed colleagues, budgets are moral documents. They tell us what we value. These initiatives align with my ministry's mandate to expand equitable access and empower rural youth. Mr. Speaker, 30 minutes. I beg your indulgence for 30 seconds to wrap up, please.
Honorable member, I can't give you 30 minutes, but you shall get 30 seconds.
That is appreciated. These initiatives align with my ministry's mandate to expand equitable access and empower rural youth while advancing inclusive, gender-responsive development. And they directly support the resolution's call for increased investment in social development as a national priority. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for my 30 seconds.
Thank you, honorable member. Are there any other contributions to this resolution? Honorable Youth Member for St. Patrick West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, colleagues, members of the audience, oh, you all look so lovely today. And especially to the young people of Grenada, I say good morning. Mr. Speaker, I stand here today speaking not just for the youth of my constituency, but for every Grenadian whose future depends on what we do with our land. Agriculture has always been our backbone, from the nutmeg that put us on the map to the cocoa that this world craves. Our grandparents didn't just farm to get by. They farmed with pride, with dignity. Now it's our turn to take that legacy and make it work for a modern Grenada, where farming isn't seen as hard labor with no future, but as a real opportunity. Mr. Speaker, let's be honest. Too many of our young people see agriculture as a backup plan, not as a first choice. And that's not because the potential isn't there. It's because our policies, our investments, and education systems haven't shown us what's really possible. As we move beyond our 50 years as a nation, we need to understand something. Agriculture isn't just about planting crops. We move way beyond that. It's about feeding ourselves, surviving climate change, creating innovation, and building careers. It's about a Grenada that can stand on its own 2 feet. Mr. Speaker, can I borrow your imagination just for 10 seconds, and the audience as well, to imagine young farmers using drones to check their fields. While you're there, can you see tech startups right here in Grenada developing climate-smart farming solutions? Also imagine our schools teaching hydroponics and aquaponics in their science labs. Not as some futuristic dream, but as everyday tools. That's the Grenada we can build, where agriculture isn't something our grandparents did, but something that empowers our generation. To make this real, I'm proposing 4 concrete actions. First, let's bring agriculture into our schools. Real programs where young people don't just learn about farming, but actually do it. Second, let's give young entrepreneurs grants to adopt modern technologies that make farming more intelligent and much more attractive. Third, let's empower youth to campaigns connecting to lead campaigns, connecting farming to nutrition and healthier communities. And fourth, let's create agro-processing hubs in our rural areas, places that create jobs, reduce imports, and most of all, strengthen our local economy. Look around the Caribbean, Mr. Speaker. Every island is struggling with high cost of food imports. Grenada can lead the way. We can show that when you put young people at the heart of agriculture, it's not just about surviving, it's about taking control of our future. We can export not just our produce, but our ideas and solutions. The fact of the matter is, Mr. Speaker, vision without follow-through is just talk. The National Youth Parliament can't just ask for money and hope for the best. No, we need accountability. That's why I'm proposing quarterly youth budget reviews where ministries present to us exactly how funds are being used for young people in agriculture. Every promise needs to become a real opportunity. Every initiative needs to be measured by whether it actually
St. Andrew Northeast
helps youth.
Mr. Speaker, I stand on a point of order, scope of debate.
Please proceed.
The resolution before us identifies key sectors: education and training, technology and innovation, health and social development, but your speech focuses heavily on agriculture. Now, I get agriculture is important, but the resolution you have presented for us to debate on does not mention agriculture.
Honorable Member, please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I welcome my honorable colleague's point of order. However, it was communicated to me by my colleagues that my portfolio would fall under technology and innovation. So I think I would be in line with the resolution, basically, if I may be allowed to continue.
Honorable Member,
I heard that the bell has rung, Mr. Speaker, so may I please have 2 more minutes just to wrap up my speech? Please, just 2 minutes.
all right. Honorable Member, I can grant you 1 minute, 30 seconds.
1 minute, 30 seconds.
And I do agree that while, yes, your speech is heavily on the agricultural side, I am hearing quite a bit about technology and innovation for the sector, so you may proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now, where was I? Right. So this resolution isn't about vague ideas, Mr. Speaker. The 4 pillars I've outlined, education and training, technology and innovation, health and social development, and economic resilience, should be included in the 2026 national budget. These are practical steps that will turn agriculture from a last resort into a first choice and ensure every dollar we invest becomes a seed for Grenada's future. Now, let me emphasize again, Mr. Speaker, accountability has to go hand in hand with vision. This resolution should mandate those quarterly reviews, requiring ministries to report directly on youth agriculture programs. That's how we make sure every young people stay at the center of our national progress.
Honorable Member for St. Andrew Northeast.
Mr. Speaker, I stand again on a point of order, scope of debate. The honorable member said that agriculture would become a first choice based on what you have shared. A first choice under which of these sectors mentioned in the resolution before us? Again, you're placing an entire sector in the mix that you have not included in the resolution. I appreciate your passion.
Okay.
I agree. It should have been there.
Please.
Honorable member. Mr. Speaker, may I
Honorable
please
member,
be
please
allowed
have
to
your seat
respond?
still.
Okay. No.
While the honorable member finishes her deliberation. So you have it.
Mr. Speaker, I agree that agriculture should have been one of the sectors looked at heavily. But let's be real with what you have presented on the table before us. How do you want to make agriculture the first choice when you have already listed education and training, technology and innovation, health and social development? You said you want agriculture would become the first choice, but it's nowhere here in the resolution.
Honorable member, please proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I believe that our hashing between my colleague and I will have to be continued outside, apart from the. So, honorable member, I will meet with you after and we will have this discussion. So let me just conclude. Mr. Speaker, just 10 seconds. Just my last statement. Again, let me emphasize that, Mr. Speaker, colleagues, young people of Grenada, let's pass this.
Honorable member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Time has elapsed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Additionally, audience in the gallery, you are not to show any sign of agreement or such with, and please cut back with the laughter and all of these in this honorable house. Honorable members, you may proceed. Honorable member for the town of St. George.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, specially invited guests, honorable members, good morning. I rise today not to oppose the spirit of this resolution. For those among us who dare say that the youth of Grenada are not worthy of investment, must be crazy. As a young person myself, I feel the weight that this moment carries. Not because this is just a motion on paper. It is about our future, our skills, our opportunities, and quite frankly, whether we are preparing the youth of Grenada to thrive or just to survive. Mr. Speaker, while we all agree that youth must be essential to our national development, the real issue before us is not whether the money should be spent, but on how, with what, and with what safeguards. A budget is not a wish list. It is a strategic plan. And as we approach 2026, we cannot afford a just spend for the best approach, because hope is not a fiscal strategy. So today, I stand in support of youth empowerment, but in defense, not without clear targets, without proper accountability, and without defining what real youth empowerment looks like. First things first, Mr. Speaker. I find we spending big now, but the youth might pay later. Mr. Speaker, according to page 13 of the 2025 budget speech, section 5.2, the government confirms that the deficit that budget carries of EC $337.4 million will be financed primarily by drawing down EC $287.3 million from the consolidated fund. In other words, the government is dipping heavily into its piggy bank. If this trend continues into 26, it could reduce the physical space needed for youth programs, training initiatives, scholarships, grants, and apprenticeship schemes. Even more, in that same budget, the government confirms that the fiscal rules under the Fiscal Reliance Act or the FRA are suspended until 2026. Mr. Speaker, today's spending could be tomorrow's problem. And sure, the IMF sees this too. In its most recent article published on October 29, 2025, it warns that continued reliance on deficit financing and drawdowns combined with suspended fiscal rules could increase debt vulnerability and reduce investment capacity. Mr. Speaker, we are calling for a youth protection fiscal clause, allocates youth development funds in a way that they're ring-fenced, so when the next shot comes, they are not the first in line to get slashed. Moving on, there has been plenty talks and small walks. Sure, the MIT, the Ministry of Mobilization, Implementation, and Transformation is doing a lot of work. But here's the thing. Some of these reconstruction contracts were already under audit. According to No Grenada, contractors were paid to start houses after Hurricane Beryl. But get this, some disappeared, leaving unfurnished homes. Mr. Speaker, this has to be a prank, right? That is not Build Back Better, that's Build Back Maybe. Mr. Speaker, if the MIT does not have a tight project management, we could be throwing money after bad. The youth training.
Youth member for St. George Northeast.
Mr. Speaker, I raise a point of order. I believe it is in the standing orders that we're not supposed to be quoting from newspaper articles, and I did hear the member quote from a newspaper article. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We, the opposition, demand MIT publish a detailed implementation roadmap with risk registers and measurable youth outcomes and do public quarterly reporting. Let the youth track not just the promises, but the progress. Lastly, where are the youth in rebuilding? Yes, resilience and reconstruction are vital after disasters. But, Mr. Speaker, resilience is not just about building back homes. It is about building up people. According to page 20 and 21, section 6.2, housing of the 2025 budget speech, millions are allocated toward reconstruction, resilient housing, and climate-smart upgrading and building back better after Hurricane Beryl. Reconstruction projects could have been the perfect opportunity to train young people in green construction, digital marketing, disaster management, etc. But nowhere in the budget 2025 speech was there a structured plan for youth apprenticeships in recovery programs. Instead, housing contracts are already under audit for delays and mismanagement. Mr. Speaker, in closing, we believe in youth, but we also believe in smart investment. In that way, we don't just benefit from a budget, but build through that budget. If we do it right, we, the opposition, stand not to reject the vision, but to refine it. And so we say yes, yes to youth. Mr. Speaker, 30 seconds to wrap up.
30 seconds granted.
And so we say yes, yes to youth, but not to inefficiency. Yes to empowerment, but not to empty allocations. Yes to investment, but not without safeguarding the nation's financial future. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Youth Member for St. George South.
Much obliged, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I've realized that the opposition side of the youth parliament, they're here for the gimmicks, Mr. Speaker. But I'll be outlining some serious recommendations on what it is for youth empowerment, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, imagine a young Grenadian student leaving home at 7:30, Mr. Speaker. You know, most of us have to go to work for 8 o'clock, but leaving home at 7:30, Mr. Speaker. Traveling more than an hour to school, arriving during before the first lesson even begins, Mr. Speaker. Imagine our nation's future entrepreneurs, teachers, nurses, engineers, standing at bus stops or terminals after a long day, not knowing when the next bus will come empty. This is our present reality, Mr. Speaker. These are not minor inconveniences. These are barriers to education, to productivity, and to dignity. And they reveal a simple truth, Mr. Speaker. Infrastructure is not about roads and buses. It is about people, especially our youth. Mr. Speaker, they budgeted approximately over $1.9 billion, Mr. Speaker. That's a lot of money, Mr. Speaker. And anyone of us here would like to have $1.9 billion in our bank account, Mr. Speaker. Isn't that right, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, with an allocation of $155.7 million allocated to the Ministry of Infrastructure, these investments will shape Grenada's mobility, connectivity, reliance, and public services. But with youth making over 60% of our population, we cannot afford to be bystanders in national development. Yet, even with progress, serious gaps remain. Mr. Speaker, the budget carries a deficit of over $300 million, Mr. Speaker. To finance this, the state is drawing $287 million from the Consolidated Fund. Reducing national savings today limit youth opportunity tomorrow, especially in infrastructure and utilities, sectors that require long-term, stable funding. Mr. Speaker, the ministry's allocation, while significant, is stretched across too many critical sectors, risking delays in youth-centered projects. Mr. Speaker, the EC $12 million transport subsidy lacks guarantees that students, trainees, and young workers are the primary beneficiaries. Mr. Speaker, the EC $44.9 million contingency fund is not enough to protect us from climate shocks, Mr. Speaker. And we had a climate shock last year, Mr. Speaker, which was Hurricane Beryl, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I'm recommending that you increase the annual contribution from 10% to just about 12%, Mr. Speaker. This will make a really big difference, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and even with EC 68.9 million for youth and sport, there is still no assurance that young Grenadians are shaping the infrastructure they will inherit. Mr. Speaker, a budget is not just a book about numbers. It is a statement of national priorities. To improve for the 2026 estimates and on our resolution, I propose the following, Mr. Speaker. The creation of a Youth Infrastructure Innovation Fund to finance youth-led solutions, Mr. Speaker, which could be about 5 to 20% of the infrastructure budget, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, resilient community hubs, digital learning platforms, green public spaces, and engineering apprentices linked to major national projects, Mr. Speaker. We must not only invest in structures, but in the minds and the hands that will build Grenada tomorrow, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm also proposing that the public transport, Mr. Speaker, the public transport reform must also place youth at the center with guaranteed discounted fees, strict accountability for how subsidies are spent, and the Youth Transport Advisory Board. Mr. Speaker, I also propose a mandatory youth apprenticeship and technical training, Mr. Speaker. We cannot keep importing skills that our own young people could master if given the opportunity, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm also proposing that we implement a fast ferry service, Mr. Speaker, via our maritime waters, Mr. Speaker, from St. Patrick's to St. George's, that could travel, Mr. Speaker, from about an hour from St. Patrick's to St. George's to about 30 minutes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and finally, a public digital infrastructure platform that would help our youth and citizens. Mr. Speaker, I would like 30 more minutes, please. Thank you. 30 more seconds, sorry.
Honorable Member, I shall grant you 20 seconds.
Mr. Speaker, the 2025 budget lays the foundation, but the 2026 estimates must sharpen it more with youth involvement, stronger oversight, and deeper climate resilience, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, next time I would like to have some more time, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Youth Member for Carriacou.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, members of this Honorable House, young people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. Before I officially begin, Mr. Speaker, I must say, please forgive my tardiness today because of travel, unexpected circumstances occurred, and that caused my tardiness here within the travels to Grenada. I had to put that on record before I officially begin to give my commitment to the constituency of Carriacou and Petite Martinique. Nonetheless, I stand here on behalf of our young people in Carriacou and Petite Martinique, our islands that bore the brunt of Hurricane Beryl and continue to shoulder the responsibility of recovery while striving for opportunity, dignity, and inclusion. The resolution before us, Mr. Speaker, calls for strengthened youth prioritization within the 2026 estimates, which is not only appropriate for the sister islands, Mr. Speaker, it is indispensable. While the 2025 budget increased the allocation to Carriacou and Petite Martinique from 33.4 million to 44 million, a support we acknowledge and appreciate, youth-specific investments were not explicitly defined. Several key initiatives, including the flagship programs such as Empower and Elevate Her program, did not fully materialize in this cycle over the Sister Isles. And although Hurricane Beryl understandably disrupted program rollouts, Mr. Speaker, delays must not evolve into long-term disadvantages for our young people. Mr. Speaker, we recognize that national transformation is a process, and it does not happen overnight. But a youth must be enabled to participate meaningfully in a nation's modernization. And with youth representing more than half of our population, any underinvestment in our youth is an underinvestment in our tri-island state economies, strength, and social stability. Mr. Speaker, this is precisely why the resolution before us is both timely and necessary. The first clause of the resolution speaks directly to the lived realities in the Sister Isle, calling for 2026 estimates to place a greater emphasis on youth development through allocations in the areas that matters the most. Mr. Speaker, the future restoration and expansion of our Tamsisi Carriacou campus presents a significant opportunity to fulfill this mandate. It allows us to deliver technical and vocational programs aligned with the Sister Isles development priorities: renewable energy, construction, agro-processing, hospitality, digital technology, and the list can go on and on, Mr. Speaker. For these initiatives to succeed, the work must not occur in silos. The ministries must collaborate together if we are to deliver results that are efficient, equitable, and truly transformative. Mr. Speaker, I am speaking on behalf of my constituency and here in support of this resolution for a greater youth-focused allocation. I respectfully submit two recommendations on behalf of the young people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique. Firstly, Mr. Speaker, establish a youth-developed sub-vote for Carriacou and Petite Martinique. A dedicated allocation, no less than 10 to 15% of capital spending, should be assigned for youth training, enterprise development, and community programs. This ensures that our youth empowerment is neither implied or incidental, but deliberate and protected, thus fulfilling the resolution's call for increased youth-focused investment in the Sister Island. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, introduce a youth land access program. Mr. Speaker, land access remains a long-standing barrier for the young people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique. And before the member stands on me for mentioning agriculture, this is speaking towards utilization of public lands to provide long-term leases for agriculture, renewable energy ventures, and even in addition, offering affordable starter home plots would provide our young people, and they have said it, They need start-at-home plots to be able to build stable and productive lives, Mr. Speaker. This came from them. I'm just a voice piece, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, please indulge me or permit me some more time to complete my speech. You understand my situation this morning. So please, I'm not using this as an excuse, but please indulge me to complete.
Honorable Member, I do in fact understand, however, I shall only grant you 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And lastly, the second clause of the resolution is critical. It calls on a National Youth Parliament to monitor the implementation of youth-related budget initiatives and advocate for continued investment in the young people. Mr. Speaker, to fulfill this responsibility, we propose the establishment of youth oversight and accountability framework within the representation of project oversight committees. Our member mentioned tracking progress. Through this initiative, Mr. Speaker, this framework will be able to give life to the intent of the resolution. We'll be ensuring that investments are monitored, gaps are identified early, and commitments made in the budget translate into outcome for our young people. No longer will we see initiatives on paper, but we will see this bring life. Mr. Speaker, I therefore support the call within the resolution, which reflects the full potential dignity for our young people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Youth Member for St. George Northwest.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today in concern over the vagueness of this resolution. This resolution lacks clear and measurable youth-focused goals, fails to provide targeted programs and funds across key ministry, and misses critical for our funding across key ministries and misses critical opportunities to turn youth consultations into real actionable development for our young people. Once the government recognizes this, we will gladly applaud genuine results, but more is required. Our youth deserve clarity, not broad statements. Firstly, Mr. Speaker, this resolution sets no specific goals to address the needs highlighted in the Youth Consultation Report. While the budget focuses on macroeconomic stability and support of SMEs, it overlooks targeted support for young entrepreneurs. Youth consultations clearly identify digital skills and creative industries as top priorities, and yet there are no new investments in these areas. The Youth Entrepreneurship Fund will have been included, offering seed grants, low-interest loans, or targeted vocational training for young Grenadians. Instead, the resolution provides no measurable targets for youth entrepreneurship, leaving outcomes to chance. Mr. Speaker, to close the gap between promises and practice, amendments must be mandated, clear and youth-specific outcomes. Secondly, there are no new youth programs in trade or export development. Young people explicitly ask for trade skills training and opportunities for global exposure, yet the estimates contain no such initiatives. There are no youth internship in embassies, no training for young exporters, and no programs linking youth-led businesses to new markets. The Youth in Business program prioritizes sectors central to trade like ICT, manufacturing, tourism, and agriculture. Yet the budget remains silent on how youth will integrate into export readiness. Even the Caribbean Development Bank stresses targeted policy support for youth employment. Mr. Speaker, we urge the inclusion to support the young exporters trade, in internships, and diaspora mentorship initiative to help young professionals connect with Grenadians abroad. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, while tourism and creative industries employ thousands of young people, the 2026 plan treats these sectors in overly broad terms. Last year's allocation, 37.4 million, showed promise, but this resolution provides no youth creative fund, no grant for digital media, no support for film, music, gaming, or youth-led creative startups. I'm sure there's a creative mind ready to create a game or film about our carnival festivities. Even young people's overwhelming interest in creative economy, the absence of dedicated youth programs is the missed opportunity. A youth creative grant program could directly answer calls made during the consultations. Without such specifics, the commitment to building a vibrant creative sector remains incomplete. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, although the resolution speaks of innovation and sustainability, it outlines no new youth-focused initiatives in agriculture or economic development. The Youth in Agriculture program has been commendable thus far, although there is no youth agriculture innovation initiative, no land access program for young farmers, and no targeted financing for youth cooperatives. If we reserve a portion of agricultural development funds for 35 and under farmers and establish clear youth participation targets, we could create real lasting opportunities for rural youth. To conclude, Mr. Speaker, this resolution needs substantial strengthening. We must insert clear, measurable youth development. Mr. Speaker, can you allow me 1 minute to wrap up?
Honorable member, I shall grant you 30 seconds.
We must insert clear, measurable youth development targets into each ministry's plan to ensure that every investment truly empowers Grenadians, young people. Until then, I must oppose this resolution as written and call for a more transformative and accountable approach to youth empowerment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, honorable member. Are there any other contributions to this resolution? If not, honorable youth member for St. John, you may proceed with the right of reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the honorable members on the other side for their contribution and for at least agreeing with the vision of this resolution. That is an important starting point, fellow members. Where we differ is in the story they tell about what this resolution actually does. And in the logic they give to us, they say that this provides cautious actions such as, let me just summarize, Mr. Speaker. Their case fairly states that Grenadians are taxed to the teeth. There is limited fiscal space and very little free money for new initiatives. They further state that the resolution lacks specificity and is just creative emphasis, almost like us telling the government of Grenada to write a blank check. It was further stated that implementation is weak and the National Youth Parliament has no real authority. They went on to say, Mr. Speaker, cost of living, imported construction materials, and inflation make it harder for youth and small businesses, so we must be careful about any youth spending. Finally, Mr. Speaker, they further stated that instead of this resolution, we should commit to specific programs like a National Youth Internship Fund. Mr. Speaker, point by point, I want to show Grenada that the opposition members are using the right economic words, but often in the wrong way. The problems they describe are real, but their conclusions do not follow from their own premises. Once you fix the logic, their arguments actually support the resolution instead of undermining it. Mr. Speaker, on taxation, fiscal space, and the idea of a blank check, the other side kept asking, where is the money coming from? As if this resolution secretly orders the Ministry of Finance to raise VAT, invent 3 new levies, and tax everything in sight. With respect, that is a straw man fallacy. The resolution does not say increase taxes. It specifically states, when preparing the 2026 estimates, place greater emphasis on youth by increasing allocation in education and training, technology and innovation, health and social development, and that the National Youth Parliament will monitor youth-related initiatives. Let us educate the members on the other side, Mr. Speaker. In public finance, fiscal space is about 2 things: how much revenue you raise and how you choose to spend what you already have. The honorable members on the other side spoke about no free money, as if the budget is currently perfect and every dollar is already being spent in the best possible way. We all know that is not true. If fiscal space is tight, the logical response is not to do nothing for the youth. It is to spend smarter. That is exactly what this resolution demands in a tight fiscal environment. The youth investment must be treated as a priority, not as a first thing to cut. Calling that a blank check is severely misleading, my fellow members. A blank check means spend whatever you like and wherever you like, and that is not something our government will do. Our resolution does the opposite. It narrows focus to 4 clear youth-related areas and adds a monitoring role for the Youth Parliament. That is not a blank check, Mr. Speaker. That is a budgeting instruction with built-in oversight. Fellow members, on cost of living, imports, and youth small businesses, the other side painted a very vivid picture. Construction booms after disasters, but we import most of the materials and even skilled laborers. These are their words. Money therefore leaks out of Grenada to foreign suppliers. Youth entrepreneurs face high input costs and must raise their prices just to break even. They further stated that inflation may have moved only by 1.1% on paper, but at the supermarkets and hardware, it feels much worse. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, they stated that salaries are not keeping pace. On all of that, yes, you are correct. But then comes the logical jump, my fellow members. Take these real problems and then treat them as an argument against prioritizing youth in the budget. If post-disaster reconstruction is leaking money abroad because we lack local skilled workers, then the solution for this is simple. More investment in training young Grenadians in construction, engineering, and project management. More focus on technical and vocational education. More support for youth in manufacturing and local production so that we import less and produce more. In other words, Mr. Speaker, the problem they describe is not an argument against investment in the areas we outline in this resolution. It is a textbook justification for the very resolution they criticize. Similarly, Mr. Speaker, when they say young people with small businesses are being crushed by high cost, what exactly or why or what exactly do we need? Education and training that builds business and financial skills. Technology and innovation support so youth can use digital tools to lower costs and reach wider markets. Social and health investment that reduces the hidden costs they carry in their families and communities. Honorable members, if your diagnostics is wrong, is that youth are struggling under the cost of living, the prescription cannot be so. So let us not prioritize youth in the 2026 budget. Is this what you are saying to us Grenadians? That is likely like a doctor saying to a sick patient, you are very sick, so I suggest we do not waste any medicine on you. Imagine that, somebody suffering from cancer and they go for treatment and the doctor turns to them and say, I'm sorry, you're too far gone. There's nothing I can do for you. Is this the message we are sending to the youth of our Tri-Island state, my opposition members? Mr. Speaker, additionally, on what they call creative emphasis, specificity and program design, the other side said that this resolution is merely creative emphasis and that emphasis alone does not translate into effective budgeting. They also say it is as if we are asking the government to write a blank check and later decide, will we use some for education, some for technology, and some for innovation? With that in mind, Mr. Speaker, with respect to them, that confuses what a resolution is with what the estimates are. A resolution sets directions and priorities as we have done with this resolution. The Estimates and Appropriation Act set the exact numbers and programs. If we try to write every program, every head and every subhead into this resolution, those on the other side would be the first to say we are overstepping and doing the Ministry of Finance job. Therefore, far from being vague, the resolution actually tightens focus. It does not say spend more money generally. It says when the 2026 estimates are being prepared, give greater emphasis to youth in 4 named areas. It adds that the National Youth Parliament will monitor youth-related initiatives. That is not a loose wish. That is a clear instruction. Whatever the government of Grenada plans to do in 2026, make sure youth in education, technology, health, and social development are the center and expect us, the youth, to check. I hope you understand. Here is the irony, Mr. Speaker. After criticizing the resolution for lack of specific programs, honorable members on the other side then propose a National Youth Internship Fund. That is a good idea. Thank you. But it is also one specific program that would need funding and design details. By their own logic, that would also be a blank check. Of course, is it not? The truth is, their example actually fits neatly inside our resolution, Mr. Speaker. A youth internship fund is a concrete way to implement the youth employment and training priority we are calling for. The proper response is not to reject the resolution, but to pass it and then argue that such a fund should be one of the flagship programs under the youth pillar of the 2026 estimates. So, what is Youth Internship Fund? Should we pass the resolution? What all you think, honorable members? Mr. Speaker, on implementation, authority, and who actually has the money, the honorable member on the other side raised 2 points here. One being weak implementation in general, and the National Youth Parliament having insufficient authority. These are real concerns, and I understand. But again, they do not lead to their conclusion. If implementation is weak, the rational response is not to do nothing. We should prioritize our youth. It is to strengthen monitoring and accountability for youth programs. Our resolution does that exactly. That by stating that the National Youth Parliament will monitor youth-related allocations and advocate for continued investment. And I clearly outline how we think the government of Grenada should do this in my earlier presentation. And let us be very clear on one thing. We, the National Youth Parliament, do not control a single cent of the national purse. We do not sign checks. We do not write the official estimates. We are making recommendations to the people who get those done. This resolution calls on the government of Grenada to listen and to implement. Honorable members on the other side, they have also spoken as if we have been the ones holding the budget consultations. We did not conduct the national budget consultation. The government of Grenada did. This youth parliament is now saying, based on the realities facing young people, here is how we believe the 2026 budget should better reflect for youth priorities. So if there is any confusion on the order or any confusion on the other side about who holds the money and who held the budget consultation, then we have to ask a simple question. If that basic point was misunderstood, what else in this resolution has been misunderstood or misrepresented in the arguments against it? Mr. Speaker, as we can see from their speeches, many things. On the question of authority, no one is pretending that the Youth Parliament can pass laws or move funds between heads. But soft power is real. When organized young people produce a youth budget, hold consultation in every parish, and present evidence-based recommendation to government, that it has influence. To use weak implementation as a reason not to set youth as priority is like saying, because some project fail, we should avoid planning any at all. That is not conservative. It is a failure. Mr. Speaker, let us continue. Their language versus their logic. The honorable members on the other side use many serious sounding words. Fiscal space, limited free money, creative emphasis, blank check. The language is heavy, but it often does not line up with their own evidence. They admit youth and small businesses are under pressure, but then treat youth investment as luxury instead of a response. These are their words. They admit money leaks out of Grenada because we import skills and materials, but then treat training and innovation for youth as something we cannot afford. They call for specificity and then offer a new fund idea that would itself need budget details and line items. When you line up their own premises and their conclusions, Mr. Speaker, there is a clear gap. Since we have to continue to educate members on the other side, through you, I would like to let them know that this debate terms, there is a false choice. Either we keep things as they are with tiny youth allocations, or we sign some wild blank check that blows up the budget. Our resolution proposes a third for more sensible option. In the existing tight fiscal space, in favor of youth, our government will hold these things accountable. Mr. Speaker, before I conclude, they targeted one of my members for his focus on agriculture. Now, Mr. Speaker, truth be told, we did not expect such a grave misunderstanding. However, given their direct misuse of words, they may be found on Google, I didn't double check after ChatGTP. Mr. Speaker, agriculture and the areas in which my member mentioned falls under technology and innovation and social development. Hydroponics, aquaponics, the use of drones to administer fertilizers, water, and so forth. It happens in regions like Asia, Europe. So how is it that our honorable member cannot understand that agriculture is more than what we do here in Grenada? It falls under technology. It falls under social development. There is so much I can say, Mr. Speaker, but today I urge our members to go back to the resolution, have an open mindset, and come back to the table because you are not ready yet. I thank you.
Thank you, honorable member. Honorable members, the question is that the following resolution be agreed. Whereas Grenada continues its journey beyond the 50th Jubilee celebration of independence, committed to building a resilient, inclusive, and innovative society. And whereas the 2025 national budget outlined fiscal priorities in economic resilience and diversification, youth empowerment and employment, climate resilience and sustainability, digital transformation and infrastructure development. And whereas the youth represent the driving force of Grenada's future and must be central to national planning, inclusive development, and social protection. And whereas the National Youth Parliament of Grenada recognizes the importance of sustained, equitable, and visionary budgeting to empower young citizens, be it resolved that the 2026 estimates of revenue and expenditure place greater emphasis on advancing the development and empowerment of the youth of Grenada, who represent more than 60% of the nation's population, through increased allocations for investments in key areas such as education and training, technology and innovation, health, and social development. As many of this opinion, say aye.
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 And those of the contrary, nay.
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 I believe the ayes have it, the ayes do have it. Be it further resolved that the National Youth Parliament of Grenada commit to monitoring the implementation of youth-related budget initiatives in and to advocating for continued investment in the empowerment of young people as agents of national transformation. As many as agree with this resolution, say aye.
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 And those of the contrary, nay.
Nay.
I believe the ayes have it, the ayes do have it. Therefore, since both items have been agreed upon, this resolution has been agreed in its entirety.
Adjournment.
Honorable Member for Carriacou.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, members of this honorable House, and young people, I rise today to present an update.
Honorable Member, before you continue, no one has asked that the House be adjourned before we move to any other business. Honorable Member.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that this House be adjourned. Signed, I.
Honorable Members, the question proposed is that this House be adjourned. Sine die. Honorable Members, the question proposed is that this House be adjourned. Sine die.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Go ahead.
I rise today to present an update on key youth-led initiatives undertaken within the constituency of Carriacou and Petite Martinique. Firstly, Mr. Speaker, one of the proudest moments this quarter has been the successful hosting of our Youth Plus Seniors Bonding Day, held on the 25th of October, an initiative inspired by passion to bridge generational gaps and strengthen community togetherness. Here, our young people spend the day at the Top Hill Senior Citizen Home, offering companionship, personal care, and heartfelt interaction. We were able to bring joys to the senior citizens within the home, Mr. Speaker. We were able to provide hair grooming, barbering, pedicures, and several other services, as well as uplifting the cultural spirit within our senior citizens. Mr. Speaker, together we were able to donate 9 cases of water and a generous food hamper, resources much needed in this present time. This initiative, Mr. Speaker, demonstrated that when youth and elders come together, we do not only share time, we strengthen the fabric of our constituency. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, in partnership with the Division of Youth, Carriacou and Petite Martinique, myself and other fellow youth ambassadors visited 3 primary schools in Carriacou: the Lady of the Rosary, the Mount Pleasant Government School, the Dover Government School, and we were able to engage with the students on the importance of kindness, discipline, and academic commitment. We provided practical studying tips and reassured them that seeking help is not a sign of weakness, but a strength that supports growth, which is much needed in our present society. These visits reaffirmed the potential of our children when they are guided with intentional care. In addition, Mr. Speaker, we recognize that more work must be done. And just note that we are just getting started. We understand that meaningful collaboration must be fostered for development. Hence, we are building strategic partnerships with community groups, organizations, such as the Grenada Tourism Authority and the Youth Emergency Action Committee. And these partnerships are underway, seeking to expand opportunities, Mr. Speaker, in training, community engagement, and youth development. Moreover, Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to announce that work will begin soon on the revitalization of the pond area by the Botanical Garden in Carriacou. The project is entitled Bench and Bond, aimed to transform this serene public space into a welcoming area for young people or elders, everyone alike, so we can have more than just a recreational hub in Carriacou, but to foster a deeper sense of community cohesion. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, our Prep for Success initiative, a back-to-school support program originally scheduled for this term, faced delays due to shipment challenges. However, I am happy to report that in 2026, January, it is confirmed for implementation. This program will deliver essential school supplies to the 6 primary schools in Carriacou and Petite Martinique to ensure that our students begin the new term empowered, prepared, and ready to excel. In closing, Mr. Speaker, Through these initiatives, we are reinforcing a message of service, unity, progress, and values that continue to guide our work in Carriacou and Petite Martinique. Mr. Speaker, I remain committed to advancing programs and initiatives that would uplift our young people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. We, the Youth Parliament, wish to welcome the Honorable Delma Thomas, Minister for Sports and Youth Affairs, who is a stranger in the gallery. At this point, I'd like to invite our Permanent Secretary, Kim Frederick, to make her remarks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker of the Youth Parliament. And let me say good afternoon to our young people and to say Happy Youth Month to all of you. I must say that I am happy to see so many of the students here in the gallery listening to the debate. We don't know how many of them may have aspirations, you know, to follow in your footsteps, the parliamentarians, but we are happy to see so many of them here today. I want to commend you, the parliamentarians, for your contributions thus far. It's only earlier in the year that we were here, and, you know, I was happy to hear all of the achievements, you know, so many initiatives that you have implemented, and those initiatives have benefited not just young persons, but even elderly. So it's important that you account and you have accounted to your constituents, you know, informing them of what you have done so far. And I also want to recognize the fact that you didn't just focus, as I said before, on young persons, but the country on a whole, even elderly. So I want to commend you for that. And I also want to say that both sides of the House have done well in the debate. I want to encourage you that when you're doing your debate, that you do more research, you know, and if you are focusing on one department, you should also probably review other ministries and departments, because you may hear some of the ministers and the Minister for Youth and Sports would say, the initiatives for youth and sports is not just reflected under the Ministry of Youth and Sports, but it will be reflected under other ministries as well. So similarly, there are initiatives, for example, on trade, which should be under the Division of Trade, so that when you're doing your research, you do a holistic research. So I just want to encourage you, you know, to do that. But I must say that all of you would have done well in the debate, and I just want to see you go out there and continue, you know, to have a voice for young people to speak on the issues that affect them, and just use the platform, you know, to communicate what you would like to see for young persons. I know for a fact some of those policymakers, you know, they are listening. They may not be here in the House physically to listen to you, but they are listening. And so just let your presence be heard. I must say that, as I said before, you did a good job, and I thank you for all that you have done so far. And I look forward to seeing greater things from all of you. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, thank you. Before we continue, we, the Youth Parliament, would also like to welcome the Senator, the Honorable Quincy Breton, the Parliamentary Secretary within the Ministry of Tourism, Creative Economy and Culture, who is a stranger in the gallery. As we proceed, I would like to invite Honorable Delma Thomas to make her remarks.
Thank you. Let me say good afternoon to every one of you and say, well, I did not hear the debate because I did have another engagement happening simultaneously, but I heard a little from the member of Carriacou and Petite Martinique, and I'm really impressed. I want to say that our country is in great hands. And the issue of youth you are not the future, you are the now. And the very fact that you can be here deliberating on issues that affect you and affect the general country speaks volume. But as I listen to the member of Carriacou, and I know that she's not alone in terms of the initiative that is taking place across Grenada in different constituencies by you, also speak volume. Because the fact that you are a youth parliamentarian and you were elected by youth members, you have to serve. Because you cannot be any parliamentarian if you cannot give service. And we are servant. So you are servant. I'm talking directly to you, not me today. You are servant for the people who elected you here. And so I'm happy that you are going out in the highways and the byways and hearing the issues that confront young people, because they're the ones that elected you. So you have to listen and advocate on their behalf. And so this is not just this parliament, your role is not just to say, well, you have a role, but you have us that you can come to advocate on behalf of members in your constituency. So we urge you, and I heard PS say that other members are listening. If you look, Prime Minister's page is live with the debates, so that speaks volume. It says that our Prime Minister is listening and other members of Parliament, once they are not engaged in meetings or so, are listening to, but we also will go back and identify the issues that come up among you. Most of the decisions that are taken came from you. Most of our youth development decisions, or all, we had the youth talk across Grenada, and you identify those areas of concerns, and that form our policy as we move forward. So as a government, we are committed, not only from the Ministry of Youth, as stated earlier, but there are other ministries that have support as it relates to young people, and so you have a role, not only for yourself, but to identify where those support lies and get your constituents to be able to access those programs. And tomorrow, please God, we are launching the Youth in Business, and I believe that as members, you are aware. So this is another area that you can get and advocate for people within your different constituency. You know, we look forward to working with you. We see that there are real future parliamentarians among you. We know that not every one of you might be interested in frontline politics, but youth parliament teach you leadership skills. So it teaches you how to reason, how to deal with particular issues that will come up in your community. And so we urge you to take it serious. I heard PS spoke of research, and research is also always very important. So it gives you added information and prepare you to be able to deliver properly. So I wish you all the best. And as a ministry, as we prepare for budget, we look forward to working with you. We look forward to taking those ideas that you gave us in our last budget consultation and those ideas you gave us before within the year of areas of concerns as it relates to youth development, and that will form our policy for 2026 and beyond. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Minister. Finally, I invite the Coordinator of Youth, Ms. Carleen Perriman, to make her remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished guests, and most importantly, our brilliant youth parliamentarians. Good afternoon. This afternoon's debate was more than a powerful exchange of ideas, and it was so remarkable sitting in the gallery and listening to you guys, not only your contribution to the resolution put forward, but most importantly, your contribution to your constituency with the work that you're doing. So I want to echo what Minister and PS would have said. Please continue your initiatives. Please continue using the resources that are available to you, no matter how small it is, one cocoa fill basket, right? So we're starting from somewhere, from $0 to $5,000. That is a remarkable leap. And I am sure if you guys put in the effort, you show the impact, then you definitely have a place, you have a voice, and you have grounds to advocate for more, yeah? But you cannot advocate for more if you're not using what is available to you. So I want to encourage everybody to take that as we go into 2026 and you implement new initiatives. I want to also echo what PS and Minister would have said, that youth is not a monolith. And as we continue to engage with the 2026 debate, next week it begins, I want to ask that you put some thought, some focus into listening to the debate and its contributions holistically. Listen to where youth are involved and where youth initiatives are being explained and being implemented, not only in the Ministry of Youth, but throughout all the government initiatives and partnerships. It is important that you, as youth parliamentarians, are ambassadors for the work that is being done, because you are responsible for promoting these activities within your constituencies and ensuring that the young people are aware of the opportunities that are available to them. I also want to thank you guys for your contribution thus far for Youth Month and all your assistance in the ministry's activities for the month of November. It was a delight to see you guys engage and engaging fully throughout these initiatives, and we look forward to seeing you at the culminating activity on the 30th of November, every one of you, and you guys, you bring your constituents to La Sagesse on the 30th of November. I also want to take this opportunity to express sincere thanks to the program lead and assistant youth coordinator, Ms. Janella Edwards, and her team for not only putting this activity here today, but mentoring you for the past year and implementing all the initiatives that you guys, and supporting you throughout the implementations of all the activities that you would have been doing. So let's do a table knock for the team and their tremendous work. I want to express thanks to our partner, the House of Parliament, for allowing this initiative to be done in the House of Parliament, and all their support and their contribution towards you, the youth parliamentarians. Another table knock for them. In addition to that, Dr. Tessa Sincere, the lead facilitator, for her training, her mentorship, her guidance, etc., throughout the year and preparing you for debates like this. Thank you, Dr. Sincere. To all the supporters, the members of the gallery, the students who come out every time you debate to support you and listen to you and listen to what it is that you're saying, we want to say thank you for your continued support and your continued partnership, because without you, I am sure the youth parliamentarians would not like to come here and to speak to empty chairs and an empty room. So thank you for that, and thank you, GIS, for always being amenable to broadcasting this initiative live. We appreciate you and we thank you for that. To the staff at the Ministry of Youth and Sports, the PS for all her support, and the Minister and the Parliamentary Secretary. No matter what we ask them, when we come to them and we say the youth parliamentarians, they require this, they require support here or there, they're always amenable to supporting. So to them, we want to give a resounding table knock for their continued support towards this initiative. And most importantly, thank you, youth parliamentarians. Thank you for your service. Thank you for accepting the call. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you for your ideas, the ideas that you put forward, not only in the House of Parliament, but beyond that, in guiding the Ministry of Youth and Sports and in giving us ideas as to how we can promote the work that we do, how we can further reach the young persons within your communities. We want to thank you for everything that you've been doing for the past year, and we look forward to an even more active and an even more impactful 2026. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Berman. Honorable Member for St. George South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just stand to observe a few things. For one, last month, October month, was Child Awareness Month and Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I want to say to all the cancer survivors that you are the actual heroes, and you are the ones that have the tenacity to inspire other people to fight chronic illnesses. To the public listening, our youth parliamentarians, members of the gallery, I want to say that let us continue to protect our children and educate them in a sustainable way. And this month, which is November, it's Youth Month and Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And I want to say to all the men, don't be afraid to voice your concerns, your feelings, because you are the backbone of our society, and you are the ones that would help shape families and the societies to come. And lastly, I would like to say happy holidays to everyone listening, and all the best for the new year. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable members, the question proposed to this Honourable House is that it stands adjourned, sine die. Honourable members, the question is that this House stands adjourned, sine die. For those that are of the opinion, say aye. And those of the contrary, nay. I believe the ayes have it, the ayes do have it. This House stands adjourned, sine die.